Here's 3 of the strongest knots that every fisherman should know. And no, I'm not talking about the Palomar knot. Guys, I don't know the names to all these knots, so if you know them, definitely drop them in the comments below. I would greatly appreciate it. Alright, so today I have 20-pound fluoro and then 50-pound braid just for demonstrations. I'll go ahead and start with this first knot here. This first knot is especially good with hooks, especially with anything with a straight shank after the eyelet. This one definitely works well with single hooks, not so much with trebles, swivels, or lures, but we'll go ahead and do this first one here. So if you can see, I like to start with the top or the front of the hook. I like coming in here, so we're just gonna go through once and you pull the tag end so that you have enough to wrap around, and then you hold the tag end against the hook, the shank of the hook, and then you take the tag end, hold in place with your middle finger to create a loop, and then you're just gonna go around 5 to 6 times. 4, 5, 6. Hope that's 6. But anyways, see, I still have that loop here with my middle finger and everything's wrapped around. I'm going to take the tag end and go through the loop, and then I'm going to pull the main line and there we go. And you're just gonna push this up, pull it tight, and there we go. It's a nice, clean knot. And then of course you just go ahead and cut the excess tag here. It's not as clean as I wanted, but you get the idea. Just look at how clean those wraps are, just around the hook. And this is what you want. You know, of course you could clean up the tag end as clean as you want, but this way of tying a knot, you know, you are sure that this is secured on the hook. You know, when you're pulling it, you're not actually pulling the knot anymore, you're pulling the whole hook. There you go, that's the first knot. Let me go ahead and show you how it looks like on a drop shot. Alright, so this is going to be for the drop shot style. It's the same knot, but this time we're going to go ahead and leave the tag end longer. So I had the fluoro here. You know, some hooks they have this going back this way, some hooks they have the eyelet going back that way, but whichever way it goes, just make sure you come down on the eyelet. And this time I'm going to leave the tag end, you know, long enough for me to have a leader for my drop shot. This looks pretty good for me. I'll go ahead and wrap it around. Once again, holding it, pinching it along the shank. Got the loop around my fingers. Main line is in my right hand. Wrapping it around. 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll go 6. Pinch it here. Bring the tag end through and pull this tight. And then just gotta play with it here. You want to make sure you turn the tag end so that, you know, it's in the back of the hook. So you just gotta play with that there. And there you go. Now you have your tag end as your leader. But that doesn't look too good for me, so go ahead and take the tag end, put it back through the top of the eyelet, pull it down, boom. Look at that, look how straight that thing is. This has got to be the cleanest knot ever for drop shot. You know you're not going to lose your hook because it's wrapped around the hook. You know, I'm not worried at all about my knot being too tight or anything, because this is just wrapping around the drop shot hook. Just look how straight that is. You know, I definitely think this is way better than the Palomar knot. When I use a Palomar knot, I'm still worried about the knot being on the end of the eyelet, but with this one, you know, I know it's around the hook, so I have no worries about this one. And now we go to the second knot. I'm gonna go back to the braid here. With this one, you know, you could use this one with hooks again, or with swivels or lures, anything that doesn't have a, you know, straight shank or the shaft that you can wrap around. This one definitely is the best one for any other option. Alright, so for the second knot, first thing you do is go ahead and put it through the eyelet. So once you got it through, go ahead and put it back through the same way it came in. Remember, you have to go through the same way. Sorry, these braid are so thick, such a small eyelet. Okay, so now you have it through. Now you have a loop. So this is your tag end, and then this is your main line. Put your finger through the loop, but you have to make sure it's with the main line. So you hold it together with the main line, and then you take the tag end and you go around both loop and main line. You just want, you know, again, 5 to 7 wraps. So the more wraps you have, the taller your knot is gonna be. So you know, you don't want too tall of a knot, you don't want too short. And then once you're done with your wraps, again, you just take your tag end, go through the loop, you're pinching it down. And then with this one, you have to play with your knot. If you pull on the main line, it's gonna pull everything down. If you pull the tag end, it's gonna pull everything tight. Definitely want to just pull it down first. Pull it tight just a little bit, just so it's clean. And then once you're at this point, you just go ahead and wet it. You wet it, and then you just go ahead and pull all the way. And there we go. Just another clean knot. See all those wraps stacking on top of each other there? There's 2 strands going under the eyelet here, and the double strands are wrapped around it. And there's no way this knot is ever gonna break, because every time it pulls, you know, the main line is pulling the knots, the wraps down. You know your knot is secured. And that's why it's important to make sure you tighten it all the way, especially with braid. You wet it and you pull it as hard as you can with braid, because as we know, you know, braid could slip and you don't want this slipping. And that's why I have such a long tag end, just to ensure that everything is tightened down. So we'll go ahead and cut this one as well. There we go. Such a clean knot. For those 2 knots, of course, you know, you could use it for hooks as well. So this is the first knot we did with the wraps that go around the shank of the hook. You know, this is great for Texas rigging. You can see that the weight doesn't interfere with the knot, so it's going to be sitting in the water just like this. I love this knot, and I always have confidence throwing this knot around. And then of course, you know, if you don't want that curve, you just go ahead and do that second knot I showed you. Got the same thing here, and then as you can see, this sits perfectly straight because that knot goes inside. It goes inside the bullet weight, and that bullet weight actually protects the knot now, and the bullet weight doesn't do anything to the knot at all. And that's why I just have so much confidence in these knots. You know, whichever style you want. If you're throwing crawl, I would say definitely go ahead with this one. If you're throwing, you know, a Senko or whatever creature bait, go with this one. Unless you want that curve here, you know, go ahead and use this one. But definitely you can't go wrong with these 2 knots. They're the cleanest, strongest knots. These are the only 2 that I use for lures and hooks. So this third knot is going to be the Alberto knot. This is great for when you want to do braid to floral. It's going to be a really strong knot. It's going to be a really clean knot. This is when you want a knot that's not going to get caught up in your guides. This is definitely the knot that I go for. So first things first, take the floral, make a loop, like so, and then take the braid, go through it, and now I'm just gonna hold the loop and the main line of the braid, and then I'm gonna wrap it around the main line and the tag end. So just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so now I'm gonna hold the bottom, wrap it back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now you wrapped it up. You want to take the tag end and go back through the same way you came in. And now you hold the braid, main line, and tag end. Hold the floral, main line, and tag end. Just slowly pull, and then pull on the main line. Go ahead and wet it this time. And wet it and then pull just all the way. And there we go. Another clean knot. You don't have to do too many wraps. I did 5 wraps down, 5 wraps up. Just look at how clean that knot is. This is gonna be a very slender knot. Of course, the more wraps you do, the thicker it's gonna be. So I would say if you're using thick braid, 4 to 5 wraps should be good enough. But if you're using smaller line, don't be scared to use more than 5. Maybe even 6 and 7 wraps. Let's go ahead and clean this up. Just another clean knot. Alright, once again, here's the 3 knots that we did. The first one wrapping around the shank of the hook, and then that second one going on the top, and then that third one, the braid to floral. It's very clean. I love these knots. It's a very strong knot. There you go, guys. 3 of the cleanest and strongest knots that every fisherman should know. And once again, if you know the names of the 2 knots that I showed you here, definitely drop it down in the comments below. I would greatly appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And make sure you share this video. If it helped you today, it might help others as well. But once again, thank you all for tuning in. Stay tuned for the next one.